Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwantner and welcome to Selling Power TV. Today we have the great pleasure of meeting with Dave Mattson. He's CEO of Sandler Training. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, Gerhard, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Tell me a very brief history of Sandler Training.
David Sandler started as a salesperson, failed miserably with all the traditional sales tactics that he was taught, finally got frustrated, went to a psychologist and said, here's what I'm saying, here's what they're saying. Why are we doing this all the time? And what he did is he took a psychological model, applied it to sales, and we have this conversational sales model ever since David started in 1967. Now we've progressed over the years. That's really how it started, was him failing miserably with the traditional techniques that he was taught.
And I had the honor of interviewing David Sandler, and I was really blown away by his insights, combining the best of psychology and the best of business into one training program. The question I have is, what I would call the timeless elements that never going to change about the Sandler system?
I would say, first of all, a couple things. One, it's actionable. So our goal, if you're in a program of ours, is to give you at least 20 actionable items that you could do every single day. But we believe that we should be giving you things that you can put in your toolbox. So that would be one. I think the other ones are that we're teaching you more how to sell versus what you sell. You know, I believe if a salesperson walks into a buyer, Gerhard, the buyer could say, hey, the top 3 reasons why I should buy from you. And you're going to hear the standard things, right? Service, reputation, value. But everybody says that. So I think you're treated differently if you act differently. So Sandler really teaches you how to have equal business stature and really talk to that buyer as if, you know, you and I are on equal terms, which we should be. And I think the other one is the success triangle, BAT, which is when we're teaching a concept, and well, we can say prospecting, could be anything. We're going to be talking about the mindset, why we have call reluctance, why we're afraid to pick up the phone, why we're afraid to talk about money, whatever the case is, but all the attitude and head stuff, and then the behaviors. Yeah, I know I need to make some cold calls, but how often and what's the frequency by which I should be doing that? And the last one is technique, which is what Sandler's known for. Give me the magic words. How do I make sure that I'm super effective on those calls? Now, we start with the technique, but we weave in all those other two, which really makes it effective. So I think those things, and look, it's a common language. So if we can provide a common language for all the customer-facing, revenue-generating individuals in a company, that's win. So you can go from inside sales to customer success to outside, and you're still using the same words, same philosophies, just applied a little differently.
One of the most memorable insights that I gained from David Sandler is the upfront contract. Can you walk me through this very quickly so we can share with the audience?
Sure, there's 5 components. I think we've all run into a situation where we've probably started the meeting and others in the meeting aren't sure why they're there, right? Because we all get these invites, or you thought you had an hour and the client or the prospect says, hey, listen, things are great, but we had a fire today. We're going to have to cut it short. Or, you know, you get your agenda out, but they didn't say anything. And the big one is at the end of the meeting, there's no clear, definitive next future. So the upfront contract takes care of all of those. There's 5 things. Before you start a meeting, and certainly at the end of every meeting, you want to talk about purpose. Let's review why we're here today. We're also going to talk about then time. How much time do we still have for today? Even though you said an hour, things can change, and we all know that. So let's validate that time so we don't get surprised. And then we're going to talk about their agenda. What are the 2 or 3 things that you would like to make sure that we covered today, Gerhard, to make sure that the meeting's as effective as possible for you? I'm going to get those out very quickly, first 5 minutes. And then I'm going to, here's my agenda, right? So we're going to talk about my agenda as number 4, because I want you as the buyer to understand what are the things that I'd like to ask you today. And then the last one, we're going to talk about, you know, if things go well, we could end up with, you know, there's not a fit based on questions, or we're going to take the next step in the process. And so let's talk about what that would be. And I'm going to talk about, before I even start the call, let's try to get to a position where we're going to decide maybe that you're going to invite me back, or maybe you're going to do a test, whatever the case may be. But I'm not going to do that trial close, Gerhard, at, you know, the 47th minute. So what do you think? And now we go the stalls and objections and all those things. I'm just going to do right up front. The meeting is going to last an hour. Here's what we're going to talk about with the ultimate goal of X, whatever X is for your company. And you're right. I would say that the number one takeaway people say when they, they'll either see a Sandler shirt in the airport or they'll say, upfront contracts. It changes their world. Even though it's so intuitive, Gerhard, most people don't do it.
It leads to a more structured conversation that's satisfying on both ends.
It is. Well, sales is a conversation, right? So
final question. Can you think of anything that David Sandler has created that is obsolete today?
Well, yeah, some of the techniques for walk-ins. When you and I first met each other, we were doing walk-ins. I'm pretty sure we're not doing any more walk-ins, right? But we have adapted the model. So we're using that traditional 7 steps of the Sandler selling system. We use it for customer success. We use it for enterprise selling in a completely different model, but we've embedded the Sandler tactics and strategies into this long selling cycle, multiple buyer, high ticket sales process. So I think what we've done is we've adapted over time, or we would have been exactly where, you asked me about, which is, hey, where's the dinosaur?
Thank you so much, David. We are going to continue our conversation with David Madsen in our next segment. Please click on that below.